Lord, help me. Say the words loudly whenever I show this sign. Lord, help me. Say it with me. Lord, help me. Jesus spent much of his time helping people. People who were lame would crawl up to Jesus and say, Lord, help me. And he would heal them so they could walk. People who could not see would say to him, Lord, help me. And he would heal them so they could see. People who were sick would cry out, Lord, help me. And he would heal them. People who wanted to learn more about him and they would want to grow in their faith and how to live in God's way would say, Lord, help me. And he would learn, he would tell them a story to help them grow and learn. People who had done wrong things and wanted to start a new life would come and say, Lord, help me. And he would teach and show them. People who were sad or lonely or unloved would come and say, Lord, help me. And he would help them to know of God's love for them. One time Jesus walked with his disciples to Canaan. Canaan is a place far away from where he usually healed and taught. And people who lived there were not Jewish. In fact, Jewish people didn't ever mix with the Canaanites. A Canaanite woman came up to Jesus, and she must have heard about who he was because she said, Lord, help me. Then she said, my daughter is very, very sick. Lord, help me. Son of David, make her well. But Jesus didn't say anything to her. The disciples wanted to send her away because they thought she was annoying Jesus. But this Canaanite woman kept saying, Lord, help me. Lord, help me. Over and over and over. Lord, help me. And finally, Jesus said to her, I was sent to help Jewish people, and that is what I am doing. But the woman didn't give up. However, not all. She knelt before Jesus and again said, Lord, help me. She also said, surely God's love and help are for all people in the world, no matter who they are. Jesus saw her great faith and persistence. You are right, he said, and your faith is great. I will do as you ask. Your daughter is healed. Jesus breaks the barriers because of that faith. Faith, according to Matthew, the gospel writer, is focused on a new life, a new environment, focused on harmony, relationship. What do you think? What do you think gave the woman the courage to keep asking for help? Is it her great love for her daughter? And her belief that only Jesus was the only one who could help? Canaanite woman, they are the Old Testament enemies. They are the Jewish enemies. They are the lost sheep of Israel. But for her, it doesn't matter. She wails and cries out for help. She begs for mercy. No one can stop her in begging Jesus. What a courage, isn't it? What a great and amazing faith. Even Jesus' statement, nor the disciples' statement, not a hindrance for her. She knelt. And what is surprising about the story is that she would not give up. She persists despite the barriers between her and Jesus. She continues on despite the obstacles between her and what she believes will be the source of her daughter's healing. The one whom she calls Lord and the Son of David. The one she believes is the Messiah of the Jews. She believes that Jesus can help her, and she is persistent and she is humble in her belief. She is clever and she is hopeful in her faith. And in the end, she achieves the goal she battled all the barriers to obtain. She receives the life of her daughter, a life free of the demons who were torturing her. And that is what the story is really all about. It is all about finding life, a good life. It is about overcoming the barriers that prevent others and ourselves from being made whole. Every person of good sense knows that wholeness comes from God and can only come from God and from God's special servants. Certainly, the woman from Canaan knew this, and because of the stories that she had heard, and perhaps because of what she herself had seen somewhere, she had the faith that Jesus could bestow God's wholeness on the most important person in her life, in her daughter. While this woman from Canaan did not know God in the way that those Israel knew him, and she takes action. She believed that Jesus was special. And though she was an outsider or a foreigner, a woman, she calls him Lord. Lord, in recognition of this specialness that she sees in him. And she takes action on the basis of that belief. She holds on to her faith in the face of unreasonableness. She holds on to her faith even though she does not hear an answer from the Lord right away. She holds on to her faith despite the barriers raised by others. She holds on to her faith even in the face of apparent insult and rejection from the one she believes in. And in the end, she receives the reward of faith. Salvation comes in her home. What I want to say is, what makes her faith so great? A distinguished faith from other kinds of things. When Jesus says to her at the end of the story, "Woman, great is your faith." Great is your faith. What he means is not great is your persistence, nor great is your pushiness, nor even great is your need. No. What he means is great is the reason you have for being here when your daughter is sick. Great is the hope you have in coming to me. Great is the trust that led you here and caused you to be persistent, clever, and even a bit pushy. You see, we often confuse faith, the faith that overcomes barriers, with action. And while faith most surely does lead to action, faith itself must be in the forefront to make those actions happen. I think this is the wisdom. This is the wisdom behind this pandemic virus. Great is the reason when we are in a great struggle, because great is the hope we have with Christ. Great is the faith that when we turn to Christ for help. Great is the trust that lead us and cause us to be persistent, to keep on trusting Him, to keep on praying, begging, to keep on connecting with Christ and breaking all the barriers that comes on our way. It's just, Jesus is saying to us, hey, exercise your faith in the arena of this pandemic virus. Turn to Christ and you will overcome. We will overcome. Say it with me. We will overcome. The woman from Canaan believed in Jesus. She had faith in Him. She believed He could heal. She believed that He was her hope and He alone. And it was this belief, this faith that overrode all other concerns. It alone gave her the energy, the power to persist in the face of opposition. It alone supplied her with the courage that she needed. We need to remember our faith if we are to overcome barriers and receive wholeness. We need to really believe the word written in this book, the Bible. And the word that is written on our hearts, that word that says God is not just the God of Israel. We need to believe that God cares even when it seems God doesn't care. We need to believe, and that is faith. We need to believe that God is life and love and goodness, and that life is stronger than the mightiest enemy. Stronger and mightiest than this pandemic virus. That God's love is stronger than death. And that love is greater than any kind of barriers or the most solid barrier of ignorance. We need to believe that God is the source of all healing and that He is the fount of all of grace that He gives to those in need and listens to those who humble themselves before Him and believe in Him. My friends, no human barrier can stand before God, nor before those who call on His name in faith. When we have faith, when we turn to God as our hope and our life, that which we seek, we will find. If we hold on to our faith, if we persist in it, God will help us. Now, is there anything that you need so desperately from God that you will knock and keep on knocking until you get the assurance that heaven has heard your prayer? This Canaanite lady is a challenge. She is a challenge to our spiritual laziness and lack of passion. She was passionate. She was persistent. She seized the initiative and broke down every barrier. She stayed focused on her main objective. She stayed in pursuit of her objective until the promise was given. Is there something that you are praying about? You would like the inner assurance that God hears. Lord, help me. Be passionate and persistent in the pursuit of God's promise. Let us be passionate about this, especially in this time of pandemic crisis. And in our time of silence, challenge yourself with this Canaanite lady's faith. Lord, help me. Amen.